Sovete omnes hic est Colosseum et Flavium Amphitheatrum. Now, I want you to notice that here on the first level, we have Doric columns. Second level, Ionic columns. Third level, Corinthian columns. In each of these arches, we would have had a sculpture in ancient times. On this side, the outermost layer of the Colosseum does not remain. It's been destroyed by earthquakes, bombs during World War II, and the ravages of time. So I thought this would be a nice way to start with an image of the Colosseum behind us, and you can see the ancient road right here, right in the immediate foreground. And we actually get to start a new stage today. So we're going to start stage 33. That's big time. It's not every day you get to start a new stage, but today we do get to start a new stage. I know many of you are very excited about this, and I know I am. So let's get rocking. We have here on page 222, all twos, 222, Praeco Primus. And I know you guys love it when I show you little images up here. Oh, there's the Praeco Primus. It's like he's in Rome right now. Look at that Praeco Primus. Praeco Primus standing there before you at Colosseum. And he says, and this is a herald, of course, the first herald, Fabula, Fabula Optima, play, the best play. Paris pantomimus notissimus in teatro cras fabulam aget. Paris, the most famous pantomime, the most famous actor. He will be doing a play in the amphitheater. I'm sorry, in the theater tomorrow. Cross. And what word do we get from cross? Procrastinate. Putting things off until tomorrow, until cross. Mirotnus tibicin pertissimus tibiis cantabit. Meropnus, a very skillful pipist or pipe player, will play the pipes. So we've got Paris, the famous actor, and we've got Meropnus, the famous flautist, piper, something like that. And so that's pretty exciting. Okay, we've got a Praeco Secundus. Oh. Praeco Secundus. Ludi Magnifici. Games, the greatest games, the magnificent games. Duodecim auriga in Circo Maximo cras certabunt. 12, duodecim 12, XII, 12 chariots will compete, will certabunt in the Circus Maximus tomorrow. Actually, there are 12 charioteers, not just chariots. The emperor himself, Dabit, will give a premium. Oh, the emperor himself. Oh, I must be talking about me. Oh, Lictator. Oh. Will give a reward to the victor. Okay, great. So chariot races, I encourage you, please. This is a little bit of an aside, but I encourage you to have chariot races with your siblings. You could be the horse, for instance. They could hold up your legs and race around the yard. That'd be lots of fun. Think about doing that. Those of you that have lots of siblings, you could have a couple of different chariots racing. You could be the horse yourself, and maybe put a sibling in some sort of conveyance, maybe a chariot. Maybe you build a chariot during this time. That would be amazing. So please get parental permission and approval. But now's a great time. Now's as good a time as any to race chariots, I say. That reminds me of one other story. One time we were in Italy. We were on this sort of mountain looking down at the beach. True story. On this mountain looking down at the beach. And there were chariots down there. like actual legit chariots being pulled by horses on the beach in Italy with guys dressed up in togas and tunics. It's a true story. It really happened. It was in a place called Cumae, or Cumae in the Latin. All right, we're ready for the third herald. The third herald. Oh, there he is. It's sort of flashing on your screen. The third herald. Spectaculum, spectaculum, splendidum. A splendid spectacle. Quinquagente gladiatores. That would have happened right in here. Gladiatores in Amphitheatro Flavio. In Amphitheatro Flavio? Yes. 50 gladiators will pugnabunt, will fight tomorrow, will fight tomorrow in the Flavian Amphitheater. That's right behind me, folks. Right behind me. 50 gladiators tomorrow. You heard it here first. And then he says, multus sanguis fluit. Much blood will flow. Much blood will flow. Much blood. Okay, there you go. Guys, we're going to turn to 226 now. This is the actual story for today. That was just an introduction. Turn to page 226. Guys, your job is to answer all these questions. On page 227, you're going to answer all the questions on page 227. You actually don't have to translate. You just have to answer questions. What is happening? That seems too easy. Magister Licti, that is too easy for these students. I don't think you should do that. Well, let me just tell you something, okay? I want them to just have to answer questions in English today, and I want to translate with them because I want to have this shared experience with these wonderful students. So I'm not going to listen to that. This is going to be plenty difficult. And just because they don't have to translate today doesn't mean they're not translating with me. In fact, as I'm translating, I want you to think of the translation in your head. That's the exchange we have going here. Okay, here we go. Page 226. We're all looking at this together. This is good. This is good. In Scaena Padua, qua in aulae Domitiani, atrio extructa era. Of course, you're going to want to translate this with me because there's no way you can answer these questions without it. No way. It's impossible. All right. In a small stage, which had been extructed, which had been constructed in the atrium, okay, you know what that is, the reception hall, the atrium of the Palace of Domitian. Okay, so on this small stage, Paris was agebating. He was acting out a fabulon, he was acting out a play about the amore of Martis et Veneris. Oh, of Mars and Venus. There it is, Mars and Venus. Suddenly, a Pumilio, a dwarf by name, Miropnus. Oh, the pipist, or the pipe player, and the buddy of Paris. I'm sorry, I said suddenly, I meant to say at the same time. Simo means at the same time, not suddenly. I was thinking of subito, pardon me. So at the same time, the Pumilio, the dwarf named Meropnus, the pipe player and friend of Paris, was playing the pipes suaviter, playing the pipes sweetly. Nobody, no spectators were present except Domitia Augusta. Now, who's Domitia Augusta? Domitia Augusta is the wife of the emperor. Domitia Augusta, the wife of the emperor Domitian, who had Paris among her most intimate, close friends. So she's got this really famous actor that she's entertaining in the palace by herself, and I know Meropnus is there and whatever. Let's think about the story that they're putting on. The story that he's putting on for her is the story of Mars and Venus. Were Mars and Venus married? Venus was married to Vulcan. So we have Venus and Vulcan who are married. And then we have, of course, Mars who sort of butts in. And that's the story that he's putting on for her as a private play for the Empress. seems a little bit iffy. So let's keep reading. Let's see what happens. She, spectabat, she was keeping her oculis fixes. She was keeping her eyes fixed on him. All right. Well, I should say she was watching the fabulum intently. She was watching the play intently with her eyes fixed on him. So wonderful, so skilled, Perita. So wonderful, so skilled was his art that Domitia, Poset, could scarcely keep back her lacrimas. So she's on the cusp, on the verge of lacrimas all the time, because he was so skillful. It was put on such a beautiful play. It was too much for her. Subito servus, nomine Olympus. I was anticipating this earlier when I mistranslated simul, but here we do have subito. Suddenly a slave by name Olympus, great name for a slave, whom Domitia had ordered to custodire the Januam, to guard the door of the atrium, entered. And here's what he said. Domina, ego et paperditum Augusti libertum modo conspicatus transeuntem aream decem militibus comitantibus. Conspicatus sum, I've just caught sight of Epaphroditus, the freedman of Augustus, just now crossing the courtyard, accompanied by 10 soldiers. Soon he will intrabit hook. Soon he will enter right here, Domitia, right here. Pay attention to what's going on, Domitia. My name's Olympus. Quibus verbi sauditis, paris et ad Domitiam conversus risit. After these words have been heard, after hearing these words, Paris, having turned to Domitia, chuckled or laughed. Doesn't say kakinawe, but I can imagine it's a bit of a chuckle or, one of those. It's one of those numbers as actors are wont to do. Actors often have these sort of strange chuckles. And he says, my delight. Now, if you were doubtful before about whether or not they were having an affair, seems a little bit even stranger for him to call her my delight, but he does. That's what he says here. How fortunata you are, how fortunate you are. You are being visited by Epaphroditus himself, the freedman of Augustus. Now, you can cut his sarcasm with a knife right here. He's obviously being sarcastic. She's not happy to be visited by this fellow, but Paris is an actor, and the world, his world at least, is a stage. To which Domitia, upset by the approach of Epaphroditus, she says, mi pare, tibi periculosum est hic manere. Now, you might wonder how to translate periculosum. Here's a hint. Periculum is my middle name. There you go. Periculum, my middle name. Periculosum means full of it, full of danger, that is. Oozing. And she says, my Paris, 'tis dangerous for you to remain here. You are hated by Epaphroditus. That is, it really says you're hateful to Epaphroditus, but we would say you're hated by Epaphroditus. If he finds you with me, apud me, or at my place, if he finds you at my place, you will definitely get punished. You'll definitely receive punishments. He will order his soldiers to conicere you into jail, to throw you into jail. Get out of here, Paris, just go. It's not worth it. Save yourself. And then Paris says, Cur fugiendum est. Why must it be fled? Why should I take off? Illum psitacum Domitiani haud quaquam merior. Now, if you want to know what a psitacum is, Let me just show you right there. That's a Pisitacum, right there. The Pisitacum of the emperor. The parrot of the emperor. I don't fear the parrot of the emperor at all. I'm sure he was overly dramatic like that because he's an actor. Did I tell you he was an actor? Domitia responds by saying, At ego valde vereor. Even though Paris said, I'm not afraid at all, Domitia responds by saying, but I am really afraid. Valde vereor. Now, mihi quoque apaproditus, for those of you following along at home, we're on page line 23, page 226. Line 23, page 226. And by the way, you all that are trying to fill out and figure out what the questions are asking, the answers to the questions as we go, what I want you to do is you can always pause this. You can pause this. You can go back in the video. No problem. No problem. All right. So just an FYI for your FYI. There you go. Okay. For your information. That's what for your FYI means. Okay. We're back at Domitia and in line 23. For Epaphroditus is also an enemy to me. So she's saying, look, I understand you're not afraid, but he's an enemy to me as well. I can get in trouble here also, even though I'm the empress. By his order, my conclavia, my rooms are often inspiciuntur. My rooms are often inspected. My letters are leguntur, are read. My slave girls daily are interrogated. His power is not less than the imperator, the imperatorus ipsius, than the emperor himself. Paris. Mea curumba, desine temere. My dove, don't be afraid. Me non capiat iste. Homunculus paulisper adibo. That little man will not capture me. I will go a little bit away, or for a little. Haec locutus, having said these things, what did he do? He climbed the nearest column quickly. What? He climbed a column? How is that going to help? Well, let's just wait and see. And having egressused through the compluvium. Now we're seeing what he's doing. Having gone out through the compluvium, he hid himself on the tecto, on the roof. Nicely done. Meropneus also decided to calare himself, to hide himself behind the tapestry. Behind the tapestry, post tapete, which was hanging from a heavy pole, from a gravi longorio. He put himself. So he put himself behind the tapestry, which was hanging from a heavy pole. And you can see in the picture there on page 227 what's happening. We can see old Paris climbing a column, and Meropneus, the pipe-playing dwarf, right behind that tapestry. Domitia, in return, who, although she was perterrita, really scared, thoroughly scared all the way through, she was remaining in bed with a serene face, with a composed face. She ordered Olympus to recite some verses to her. All right, there we go. And guys, I think if you just go back through this, and we have to go back through it once and really look at the Latin, really see what's going on, and you should be able to answer numbers 1 through 12, right? Really, I don't think that's crazy talk. I think you should be able to answer 1 through 12. Let me write that up just to make sure you know. So you're going to translate page 226 with Magister Licti. That's what we just did. You can go back through it, of course. And then what you turn in here is you answer 1 through 12 on page 227. All right, so that's what you're turning in, 1 through 12 on page 227. That's what's going on. All right, folks, it was fun translating with you today. And you have a wonderful time with these questions. Pax vobis cum.